4.5 game against the Necron, so we're playing above Onslaught. Also, apologies for the rooster. But I've chosen Kalyon, and this game, I should probably preface, but this game is happening today at 3:30, so in a couple hours kind of thing. And it's above Onslaught, 3,500 points, as I already said. And I chose Kalyon. I like all three detachments for different reasons, and I've run all three at this point, but in the bigger matches, I almost like Kalyon because, one, I feel like it's easier in some ways to last till turn 3. And then also, the second reason I'm choosing Kalyon, it's kind of like my defensive strat. Not that I'm necessarily going to castle, but as in if you're a new player to me, as in I've never played against you, I know very little about you, like especially if it's like Dave, at least I know. Like we've watched each other play a few times, but yeah, I don't know exactly what his list is going to be. I don't know exactly. I fought necrons a lot, but I don't know exactly if I'm going to be able to do what I want to do against him and everything, to where Kalyon kind of gives me some up and down play, and then also being able to not waste turn 1 and 2, but almost have the mindset that it's okay if I kind of lose turn 1 and 2, but I can play very defensively and like try to cost you, like make you pay as much as possible for whether it's every point of objectives that you get or mission, like whatever, as in just make you pay for what you're going to take. Nothing for free, nothing kind of thing, unless I have to surrender. But with Kalyon, I feel like I can use turn 1 and 2 to kind of learn what you're doing and then come back really strong at the end of the game and end up winning. Not necessarily because of all the sustained hits. Those do help out a lot, but the other command strategies, like everything just comes online for it. So I was going to talk about each unit and kind of what they're doing for me in my list. And so I'll just start from the top. The Cadre Fireblade, pretty standard choice, but in the sense of he's in a lot of lists because of his normal ability of, hey, I can do volley fire, so it adds 1 to the attack characteristics of ranged weapons. So it makes, breachers have more dice and stuff like that. I'm not using him with breachers. I'm actually using him for the enhancement, the through Unity Devastation. This guy, it's 25 points, so it's pretty expensive, but when a Tau Empire model is leading a unit, they do have to be leading. Each time that observer unit, each time you basically spot for another unit, you give the guided unit lethal hits. And so it's a really, really, really unique thing to Kalyon. I don't have like an enhancement in retaliation or Monkar to do this. And so having this guy be able to just kind of sit back and spot things for something big, like especially a Storm Surge. That's something that I've been beta testing in other matches to kind of see how well it works. But he can spot for any of my big guys. Storm Surge especially, because you just get so much dice. Unar's a little bit different because you got a lot of dice also, but you got the heavy rail array. And so you have devastating wounds, and lethal hits can kind of mess with devastating wounds. But with things like a Storm Surge that have no devastating wounds, and then like a Sky Ray, kind of thing, no devastating wounds, then really like the Ghost, like literally the Crisis suits love it. I'll get to all that point, but basically there's a lot of things in the list that can really benefit from having some lethal hits. So that's kind of what he's there for, is to almost be my marker drone from old editions, in the sense of, hey guys, all, like my big guns take this thing out. So he's there for that. Commander Farsight, I love Commander Farsight also, but he's there. He is just an awesome leader for your crisis suits, obviously. But I'm kind of doing more of a basic breakdown if people aren't as familiar with the Tau. And so I really like his abilities. His weapons are fine. His high intensity plasma rifle, it's nice. It hits on a 2. You get 2 attacks, strength 8. It's a good gun. It's not as powerful as the fusions, but you get a little bit more range. and then you get your sword, which it's good. Don't run up to a katana and expect to like win a melee fight, kind of thing, as in know your place. You're still definitely not a melee powerhouse, but it's really for the abilities. So the way of the short blade, while this model is leading a unit, the Tau do not like to just be like a solo hero or a solo unit kind of thing doing its thing. They like to work together to where, while this model is leading it, each time a model in that unit makes an attack that targets an enemy within 9 inches, add 1 to the rune roll. Normally I use this with Retaliation Cadre because like all the stacks go together, but even in Callion, that gives you, hey, if he's leading fusions, which he is leading fusion crisis suits, he can make them, they're only strength 9, and especially not getting the strength boost from Retaliation. Strength 9 can be like, it feels bad jumping in on something and like wounding a big tank on like 5s, and so, or something like that. So at least bringing it down to 4s, or in some cases 3s. With the Retaliation, you can get like, if it's like, you can get on some things like Watsons for necrons. You can be hitting them on 2s, wounding them on 2s. It's hilarious. But that really does help out a little bit because Tau fusion, their Melta is not, I don't feel like as powerful as other people's Meltas. I could be wrong about that, but that's just how I felt like playing other armies in the past, and maybe fusion's just changed a lot since I've played, because it's really been like 6th edition, and so going forward I missed, I played 6th, but I didn't go forward after that. But Pure Tide's teaching is once per battle round, you can target this model unit with a stratagem for 0 CP. And you could even do so if it's already been targeted by a different unit with a stratagem. So not only can I double up, but then I can, again, do it for free, where it not only works out with like some other things like Shadow Sun, if Shadow Sun and then happen to be working together, but it works out with getting whatever detachment I feel like he's good in, because you got some cool options with Retaliation, with movement and stuff like that. Kind of a Fade and Fire kind of tactic. Then this one you have quite a few different things that you can do, and it's kind of a little, the command stratagems I don't like as much, but like one of the things that I really like doing in Callion is, okay, I believe it's, well, that one's nice too, but point blank ambush. Either doing this one with the crisis suits, like with his crisis suits, so they just get more AP, or coordinate engage. So then the 2 crisis teams that I'm going to be running can spot for each other. So like, let's say Farsight spots for, the Cold Stars group. I can play this for free on them, and yeah. So basically, Farsight's squad gets spotted for, in essence, and the other crisis team can spot for themselves. So there's a little unit that I can send in like a Deep Strike, QRF, Quick Reaction Force, for those of you that don't know that, and then make them self-sustained, where, yeah, I can drop in some other stuff, but they don't need spotters. They can spot for each other kind of thing and do it for free without costing me any command points, and I'm just making sure that, hey, those crisis suits are going down from 4s to 3s, kind of thing. Because Farsight, he already hits on 2s. He doesn't care about being spotted for. So that's pretty much where Farsight is that if you're going to do crisis suits, Farsight is just such a good leader for them. He gives them so much more flexibility, so much more access to tools with the higher damage, and then also just the command stratagem, being able to choose a command stratagem, even if it's 2 command points or whatever, you can choose whatever. I'm just saying that one is a really good offensive one. There's some other ones that I can do and stuff. I'm just kind of going to generally what these units kind of do for me. So I'm going to move on to Commander Shadow Sun now, and there's a few reasons why I like her. One, she's actually pretty punchy, especially against little things. Her guns can be pretty devastating, like in the sense of like when you're shooting at like gaunts or like infantry, like small things, but mostly, and then she can actually take a hit too. She has her advanced guardian drone, so she's got stealth and lone op, but like with the stealth, she's a -1 to hit, and then she's a -1 to wound too. She's fairly tanky for a Tau. Like, she still is only, toughness 4, invul of 5, save of 3. She's not but that tanky, but with her lone operative, infiltrator, and stealth, and then the ability to fall back and everything like that is really nice. And then she's got a couple different things where it really helps out. For instance, Hero of the Empire. While the friendly Tau Empire unit is within 6 inches, each time a model in that unit makes a range attack, reroll a hit roll of 1. Really nice. And then she's got her command link drone. So anytime, again, someone's 6 inches and they use a stratagem, you just get a free dice roll. Yeah, it's a 5 up, so that's pretty bad. But if you get a 5 up, you gain a CP. So if it's a 1 CP, you get a CP back. If it's a 2 CP, well, you only have to pay 50%. If it's Farsight, you can use Farsight's ability to use a command point and then roll. So technically, if Farsight and Shadowsun are working together, there's an off chance that you'll be able to get just like net a command point for no reason, like literally for free. So she's quite useful. I use her a lot. She was one of the models I didn't have before, and I was really excited to get, just because I was like, ooh, the synergy with her and how she works with the Tau is just really nice. You'll kind of see how she works well with like stealth suits, how she works well with like Unar, because those guys they either give or have rerolls to 1s, and so when you're stacking like 3 rerolls to 1s, okay, like you can use, like, that's pretty nice, kind of thing. And so going back from that, you got a pretty kick-ass character that can infiltrate. So when I kind of start talking about the general strategy of my list, it's going to be kind of clear that Shadowsun is very flexible, where she can either deploy up in front where I want her, or I can kind of have her in the back doing some stuff. But she's very, very, very flexible. Cold Star, pretty much the same thing in the sense of he's just fusion. He does give some awesome stuff. Like, for instance, I threw on the precision of the Patient Hunter. Mostly just, again, I feel like sometimes the Crisis suits with their fusion are just inconsistent. Maybe because of their dice roll being, like D6 damage or like D6 plus 2 if you're within melter range kind of thing. But having the Cold Star just be able to punch in the sense of, hey, yeah, he becomes like Farsight, where his guns are now hitting on 2s instead of 3s, and then you get a +1 after turn 3. But, just kind of trying to guarantee some damage, because, again, the Crisis Suit teams are my QF. They are going to be the guys that if anything big needs to be taken out, or if anyone's like pushing, especially big, because they're all fusion, I need them to be able to take out, at least contest or take out the big stuff and like slow them down. And asking Crisis Suits to jump in on Canoptic Heavy Constructs or whatever they are is a big ask. So just trying to help guarantee some damage to them, awesome. And then the Cold Star, his abilities are really nice, because for one, his ability is Cold Star Commander. While this model is leading a unit, models in that unit have a move characteristic of 12, so he boosts them up instead of slowing them down. And then ranged weapons equipped with his models have assault. So you can be rolling for, like, you can drop them in, and then like whatever we kill, let's say we kill something, we drop it, and then the Cold Star wants to push forward in front of the like Farsight or whatever like that, or he just needs to go somewhere else, or it's time to scatter, whatever. You have assault, so you get that extra movement, you get that extra dice roll. And yes, it's not as useful as getting like auto 6 movement like you do in Monkar. It's still nice. And retaliation, it is so nice because you can just drop grenades on people. But so again, he's there for mostly damage and helping Farsight out. Then we have Dark Strutter, my favorite narrative hero. I do really like Farsight, but Dark Strutter, yeah, he reminds me of a younger me, kind of thing, just in the sense that I really like his kind of attitude and story. But he's really there for his abilities. One, since I am kind of going for, so the Pathfinders, he's got Infiltrate, you see? You can give Pathfinders Infiltrate. And so I'm kind of doing this early game kind of, hey, I'm going to take a lot of land, and you'll see how it all kind of works together, but I'll be able to like kind of accordion in and like fall back and like not really, if it's not a choice engagement, like one that I think I can win at that time, I can fall back and like readjust or kind of switch tactics. Or with the crisis suits and some other things, I will be able to call in some heavy support and pull in some traps in the sense of like, oh, you thought I was weak? Let me just go plus ultra here for a second. So he's going to be really good for Structural Analyzer, which makes my Pathfinders, you can only lead Pathfinders, but it makes my Pathfinders that much more deadly. Then the Jammer Array. I don't know if this guy plays the Monolith, today, like as in today. He does a lot of times. I just haven't seen him. We haven't played against each other yet. But whatever he has, Wraiths are really hot right now. So anything with his Deep Strike stuff, having 12 inches is really nice. And then 2, if he's got his Monolith, or if he's got like anything to press, like I'm basically going to put Dark Shroud in his Pathfinders on an objective I want to hold. Because then I have a 12-inch bubble of like, again, try to charge me, try to like deep streak on me, because like, yeah, you drop it and you're 12 inches away. Unless you get boxcars, you ain't touching me. And so you can try that and it may work out, but it does help a lot. And then gives me space to drop things in myself, where he's going to be pretty nice to just kind of like round out and make a place to be able to hold a lot easier, because there is going to be a lot of firepower coming at me. Firesight team, it's really for the solid image protector. I don't think it's auto take, but it is something that only Kalyon can do, and it is 30 points for an enhancement. That's pretty spicy. But you can move up to 3 units, even putting them in strategic reserve, or just redeploy them. As in, like if they're infiltrator, you can re-infiltrate them. If they're just a normal unit, you can move them around in the deployment zone stuff. So that trickery, especially again, think about how I said, well, when I choose Kalyon and I don't really know you very well, I want to basically have as many options in my pocket to react to you as possible. So if you're being really aggressive, okay, reset and be defensive. If you're being like really defensive, okay, reset and try to take some map control, like kind of thing. It just gives me more options. And with everything, being able to throw 3 of those, it even says regardless of how many units you already have in strategic reserve. Sorry, I'm having a hard time saying that. So yeah, I could throw in a 3,500 point game. We have 875 points of reserve that we can use, and that's just the SR. The reserve is another 25%. Kind of thing, so another 870. So I could have a lot of crisis suits or whatever in deep strike. But this lets me break the rule of like, let's say I had like 870 points on the mat, like already in like strategic reserve. I could then throw something like Unar, who's 790 points, back into reserve and it not break the rules. So it's really nice for stuff like that, in the sense of, hey, you can do some really good trickery, and then yeah, you can have the ability to be like, hey, I don't want to have my stuff out on the field right now, or I want to deploy them somewhere else. And yes, we'll go over some of the like rules that kind of get in your way, but how to kind of work around them with this list. But that's one of the ways is, yeah, you can't lock down my big stuff or whatever, because especially during 4th of July, running Merciless Mervyn, that's one of the reasons why I ran her so much, even though she was blowing up, was I was getting data. I wanted to learn. And so running into some of these problems, yeah, I can't control first turn. But I can control if you can shoot at Unar or not. And so, yeah, having your biggest mech suit just blow up turn 1 before you've even moved or anything, that just feels bad for anyone. Not even just Tau, but just bad for anyone. So being able to kind of do some deployment trickery and then pull things away, super nice. So he's really just there for that. He's got Infiltrator, he's got Lone Op, and Stealth and stuff like that. So he's going to probably deploy, because again, once that enhancement's used at the beginning of the game, it's done. This guy can pretty much die. But he does have some range, like he's got precision, he can take out leaders, and he's got like a pretty good rifle, but it's still a rifle. But he's just going to kind of be there for helping hold objective. He does have 3 OC and stuff, but he's really just there. So he's going to go deploy with Farsight somewhere, probably maybe a little bit behind far sight and the line butt. He'll be there kind of supporting the front line. The strike team, obviously, we already talked about with Cadre, but they are going to have their Guardian drone, for instance, so they get the -1 to wound, so they're just a little bit more tanky. Nothing else really that's... they do have the support turret now as default, but and it gives them a little bit of mortar fire, basically. But the Guardian drone, again, subtract 1 from the wound. Really nice. Anyone I have that on, I love. So, the 2 broadsides. One, I kind of just wanted to talk about how, just mathematically, a lot of times you don't need that 3rd broadside. It just is overkill. And then they do bump up the points on that last one to where it goes like 90-90, and then the last one bumps everyone up to being basically 100. So, like, I don't know, going from 90 to 120 on that last one. And so even if I needed 6, I would probably still run 3 groups of 2 just for cost efficiency and then shot efficiency. Unless you are shooting at super big things, you can normally kill things with just 2 broadsides just fine. And so the broadsides are really just there for an anchor. I love broadsides. Anyone that knows me knows that broadsides were one of my first loves of 40K, in the sense of I just saw the unit. I was like, that is the coolest unit. I run all old, old broadsides from like Codex 3, 4, 5, kind of thing, as in before they got to these new broadsides. Just because those 2 rail guns on the shoulders to me is iconic. And so I love broadsides. Always will. But they're just really an anchor. I'm going to have them holding my home objective. They have 60-inch range. So they're going to be able to, reach out and touch most things. They have 2 attacks each. When they're heavy, obviously, they get the -1 to hit, as in, like, you add 1 to hit. So that would go down to 3, and then when they're spotted for, that would go down to 2, because it's making the BS skill go down instead of just a +1 to hit. And so broadsides can be, as Nathan Gill puts it, they're a turret. And so they're very nice. I have that, and then I have some indirect fire support with them, some twin smart missile systems. And then the support system, which just makes it nice. They can ignore stuff like stealth. They can ignore anything that modifies the hit roll. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. So they're just there for, like, packing a punch, but they're not very mobile. As you see, they're only... I thought they were 8 inches. Okay, broadsides either got changed or something. But anyway, broadsides are 5 inches. That is amazing. They take away the fly from the crisis suit and half the movement. Like, that is amazing. I love it. The heavy weapons. That does suck, but I love it. That makes more sense why I never move them. But again, crisis suits. The Sun Forge ones are amazing because they each get their fusion blasters. Which again are just very good anti-vehicle for Tau. They retain the invul save. They're the only crisis suits that retain the invul save, and their abilities are really nice when they're shooting at a monster or vehicle unit. And so I don't think Titans count in the sense of if they don't have the monster or something keyword, but like, or vehicle, like somehow if they just like somehow don't have that, but you can re-roll the wound and the damage roll. So, like, that is so nice. Not only the wound roll, but the damage roll, because it's a D6, as you can see for their weapons. D6, and then it's plus melt to 2 if we're within 6 inches. And so, yeah, if you get a 1, re-roll that baby for free. Like, to where they are very nice for that. Where I do feel like them having, like... the ability kind of thing to get in there, and it's the only crisis suit that I'm kind of happy with the quote-unquote changes, like when they split it into 3, is that, okay, I was basically doing the same thing with fusion crisis suits before, and I'd run them into like a group of 6, and you wouldn't have any special rules. Yeah, I could have some like other things like my battlesuit support system where I can fall back and shoot and stuff like that, but trade that for the special rule of reroll the wound roll and the damage roll. It kind of balances out because it's easier to carry. Like, I always felt like 3 crisis suits, and I still kind of feel that way, but they're a little bit more consistent now, where like 3 crisis suits wasn't enough, but 6 is almost overkill a lot of times. And now it's a little bit more, okay, 3 I can hopefully do some damage, and like, yeah, I still like to run like 2 groups of 3, but they've just kind of, I feel like, come out on top. The other ones I've learned to love. I have some budget broadsides and stuff that I run, but those are nice. And those are more specifically for retaliation cadre. Like, I still run them sometimes in others, but the moving on to the 2 ghost kills. Ghost kills, I haven't set on if one's going to be fusion, like close quarters, just like, bruh, bring it. Or if they're both going to be Iron Rakers and just kind of play the stealth game. But really they're here for is because they're chunky. With the Iron Raker, now it's 36-inch range, 6 attacks, hit on a 4-up, so you can get that down to a 3. Strength 7 if you don't overcharge it, -1 AP, 2 damage. Like that ain't bad to just pick at things and kind of slow things down. It's not going to be super effective against necrons, but when the necrons won't be able to shoot back, it's nice. And then they have battlesuit support systems. But you have 2 of these because, again, they're chunky. They have movement 10, toughness 8, save of 2. They don't have an invul save, so that does kind of suck. But they have 12 wounds. But really, they can infiltrate up there. They got the lone operative, so you can't shoot them unless they're with 12 inches. And then even when you do, hey, I got stealth, so it's -1 to hit me. And they got 2 stealth drones. They can just change the damage characteristics of that attack to 0 twice per battle. That is amazing. That makes them go way tankier. Because now you can't shoot them most of the time. And then when you can, they're not that easy to hit. And unless you have really high AP, they're pretty tanky. And then they can just be like, nope, twice per game. Like, that gun, that attack is 0. And so, yeah, it would be interesting. So those guys are there to get in there, try to hold some objective, or at least make you pay for taking them from me. But with them, going now to the command stratagems, because I've talked a little bit about command stratagems, but really with the Ghost kills, the Stealth and Shadow Sun, and this only works with Kalyan. And again, going back to I like to play a little bit more defensively so I can see what you're going to do and I can react to it. Wall of Mirrors is by far my most movement janky thing, in the sense of it's 1 CP, so it does cost you, but thankfully it's not 2. But at the end of your opponent's fight phase, 1 stealth suit, 1 stealth, so the keyword stealth, so that even means my little marker, my sniper dude, Ghost Kill or Commander Shadow Sun from your army, remove it from the battlefield and place it into SR. You cannot target, that's within engage range, but so if you've locked me up in melee, I can't just disappear on you. But being able to be with a Ghost Kill or a stealth suit and literally hold the point up until I have to leave, so I can just score that 5 more points, or be bloodying you and then pull out or whatever. Just being able to pull out and then redeploy later. It's through SR. I can't re-infiltrate, but I can come on the edge of the map or in your deployment if it's after turn 3, where they can come back and start harassing it with that 36-inch range, especially the Ghost Kills. The stealth teams can do it too. The other things can do it too, but I really like it on Ghost Kills for the fact of try to lock me down. This thing's a kind of chunky boy. It's going to do some damage. Necrons is a little harder to with the skirmish game because they can heal, but try to lock it down. And so they can run all my stealth units that I'm deploying. The Pathfinders can't. That is the only thing they have to literally physically run. So that's why I'm putting Dark Strider, where there's going to be one objective that I am just no, I am holding this objective, and good luck. But the other ones also are going to be set up, because I haven't gotten there yet, but basically they're going to be set up to where the reaction, because you already see that I have Deep Strike. I have 2 sets of Fusion Crises that are ready in Deep Strike to jump in. And then I have the Hammerhead Gunship, just again for long range support. It's got that amazing railgun. You only get 1 attack, but it is heavy, devastating wounds, very, very, very easy to get to 2+ to hit. Strength 20, negative AP 5, D6 plus 6. Very nice, very nice. But what makes it better is the abilities. So it's an Armor Hunter. If it targets a monster or vehicle, add 1 to the hit roll. Okay? And then each time this model is selected to shoot, you can re-roll 1 hit roll or re-roll 1 wound roll when resolving those attacks. And so you have those So let's say you're spotting for, let's say you have to get a 2+, because I spotted for, so my BS goes down, so it goes down from 4 to 3, and then, yeah, I'm either using Armored Hunter or the Heavy. So it's a +1 to the hit roll. So 2. Then I'm either within 6 inches of Shadow Sun, and then spotted for by a Stealth Suit. And then I have my own reroll. So let's say I get a 1 the first time. Oh no, use the Stealth Suit's reroll. Let's say I get another 1, worst case scenario kind of thing. Oh, use Shadow Sun's reroll. Oh, I get another 1. How did I get 3 1s in a row kind of thing? Well, I still have 1 to reroll. But then let's say I had to use let's just say I use Shadow Sun's reroll and not the Stealth Suits and the other one. I move on to the wound. I have 2 because the Stealth Suit, and since I haven't used my innate one yet, I have another one that I can roll. So 1, if it misses, with shrink 20, if it doesn't wound, that is, I mean, some things are 3s. You're not always going to be at 2s, kind of thing. But if it does miss, you have 2 chances to re-roll that, and you get devastating wounds. So in either of those chances, you might end up getting a 6, and then it becomes a devastating wound. So hammerheads they're very DPS, like glass cannon in the sense of only toughness 10, a 3-up save, no invulf, only 14 wounds. They can't take the damage, but they can dish out the damage to her. Hammerheads are very nice, even though they got bumped up in price. Very nice. So they're one of the ones that I'm going to either start with in Strategic Reserve, because a lot of my stuff is going to be in Reserve. I'm basically going to have very little on the map, because everything's going to be deployed as needed. That's kind of the whole idea of this list, is everything's going to be deployed as needed. We already kind of went over the Pathfinder team, just in the sense that they have the recon drone, so it lets them, they have Infiltrator. It's nice, so then they can just infiltrate. Because basically, again, set up kind of aggressive, and then have the Pathfinders just add the support instance of rail guns. They got the grenade launcher, so like they can try to do some damage. The Skyray, I'm also going to probably throw an SR, because again, 1, it's basically the same as a Hammerhead in the sense of toughness and all that stuff, but its abilities are different, where it can reroll against things with fly, and then it still has a targeting array. That is amazing. So, but the main problem is the Seeker Missile Rack is you get 3 attacks, but it's only 48 inches, which sometimes is a little hard to work with. So being able to come on an edge, that's going to be really nice, because 48 inches, 3 attacks, it's not heavy. So this guy, it's going to be very hard to get him down to a 2+. Because if you spot for him, his BS goes down to 3, but where are you going to get the +1? Kind of thing, because you're not getting a heavy. And the abilities, again, there are rerolls. And so it's a little bit different than the Hammerhead, with the Hammerhead being, hey, you can add 1, to the hit. And so it's a little bit different. So it's a little bit, I feel, harder to consistently do damage, even though you have more dice. But the Seeker Missile Rack, Strength 14, -3 AP, D6 +1. You can do some good damage. So getting that guy in, but again, Necrons are incredibly more durable than me. So that's why a lot of this stuff is going to be, it's going to look like I only have like a couple hundred points in SR, but then I'm going to pull back everything. So the Stealth Suits, they are key. They are literally liquid gold, or however you want to look at it for Tau right now, but they are gold. And especially for my strategy for this list, they are gold. I have to have 3 of them. I always want to have 3 of them at this point. But 1, it's their ability. Okay, Infiltrators is nice. Stealth is nice. But 4 Deserters. Each time a unit, like, until the end of the phase, each time a range attack, they can reroll a hit roll of 1 and a reroll of 1 on the wound. That is just the best. Like, Pathfinders can spot for 2 people, but the Stealth Suits, that is so nice, especially on your big guns that you just want to make sure they wound. Having as many Stealth Suits that can do that. So 3 turn, like 3 people a turn, being able to do that is just amazing at, better guaranteeing your damage. But the other thing is their homing ability. So their homing beacon. You only get one of these. So, and it's just once per battle. So, but if you have 3 suits, that's 3 homing beacons. So once per battle, you can use a rapid ingress stratagem, which I've been waiting. I know this video is getting long, but I've been waiting to go over this because it's super key to my boosting my QRF. I want everything to be a quick reaction force because, again, I want to initiate and take control of whatever engagement. Like if you're going to push at me and I want to hold there, I want to smash your hammer with a bigger hammer. Because if I continuously do that, you'll run out of hammers. And so, or if it's, hey, your hammer's too big and I don't want to fight you here, fade away with the mirrors. So, whatever. I always want to call it smoke and mirrors, but it's like mirrors something, but the other stratagem. But homing beacon for 0 CP, rapid ingress, and I have to be set up 3 inches away from them. The bearer, as in the stealth suit, so I can literally deep strike, get a free deep strike right next to the bearer. And so when you're looking at rapid ingress, this is how you get around the summoning sickness. Like with Ta'unar, for instance, when you're deploying from SR, if your base cannot be within, if your whole model cannot be within or your base can't be within 6 inches of the board, you get basically summoning sickness where you can't do anything until the start of your next turn. You can't shoot, you can't move, you can't do anything. But with this rapid ingress, I can always play it for 1 CP, but those 3 are for free, and they have to be right next to him to where, again, I can deploy them where needed or like basically wherever I get my stealth suit. But they arrive on the battlefield as if it was my reinforcement phase on the end of my opponent's move phase. So they get around the summoning sickness in the sense of, well, on the start of my next turn, it's still not my turn, but on the start of my next turn, yeah, they can now move, they can now shoot, they can now do whatever. So they still have to survive that initial, like, popping in and, like, potentially getting shot and blown up. But if you can survive that, yeah, I feel like is a little bit better chances. And again, you can deploy them pretty much wherever and deploy it for free without a command point spent. And so that is one of my key things is I'm boosting as much that I can in terms of turn 1 and 2. You're just not going to be able to shoot me very easily, except coming at my like points of control. And then I can drop in whatever I want kind of thing, whatever I have in strategic reserve, whether it's a hammerhead, whether it's a sky ray, whether it's one of those ghost kills or something like that, or if it's the storm surge or Ta'unar, my big suit. And so I have 3 of those, so I can do that 3 times. And again, make sure that my big guns hit. Storm surge, I am going for the long range. I kind of want to go for the pulse blast cannon because if I can get within range, so this is a blast heavy, and it's good. Strength's 12. You get D6, like up to 9 attacks. But this, its dispersed is weaker, right? Because it has less strength, less AP, but more damage per shot. But it's focused. You only get 2 hits, but it's basically a railgun at that point, where it's 2 hits, 4, plus 4. It is heavy, so again, you can get that down to 2s. Strength 24. That again is like Unar's is railgun's 26. Negative 6 AP, so unless they have an invul, that's going through. And 12 damage a pop. And like being able to warp him in and get him close, that's the whole reason I don't really like this gun. But being able to, in my mind, totally makes it viable to run. Yes, you only go down to 2 attacks, but it's 12 each. 12 each. And so I'm really thinking about changing that because I am just thinking about just dropping him in, basically. And then Ta'unar, the cake. Like, just the guns. Like, look at the guns on this system. Like, I know I'm kind of going fast, but it just got a lot of guns, and especially a lot of them are shorter range. But then, so getting up there, like dropping in, like while they're pushing an objective or something like that, yeah, I could drop in, and especially if I survive and I'm able to shoot on my next turn, I could get in there and like just be hitting you all these, and then my big gun, in the sense of the heavy rail cannon, right? 120-inch range, 2 attacks, heavy, devastating, 4+. But again, if you spot for me, and then I get the heavy, that's a 3+, and then down to a 2+. Strength 26, so wounding most things on a 2. There are very few things that are, like, you have to be toughness 14 to actually push me to 3s. -5 AP, 16 damage. So if both shots go through, that's 32 damage. I quite like that. And then the fragmentation shell. It's, just a little gun. But, another 2d6 plus 6. Ooh, that could be 18 shots if I rolled perfect. And then that one can only down to 3. But then the strength is 6, -1 AP, so it's pretty good. And its abilities are kind of nice. So it does coordinated strike, to where if this model is a guided unit, you can reroll, like you get an innate reroll of 1. And so it's really nice to stack with either Shadow Sun Sending right there or someone. But basically you always want to be guiding for Unar, just to give it, like, well, again, +1 to hit with the BS, but then also the reroll of 1 naturally, kind of thing. The Super Heavy Walker isn't as useful. You can jump over things that are 4 inches or less. But then the Storm Surge abilities, I love and hate Storm Surge, because they're either like super useless or super not. But their ability, not only do they have a support system, which they can like ignore stealth, stuff like that, but the Titan Killer, which it's the main reason I want 3 Storm Surges, even though I know I wouldn't play with 3 Storm Surges all the time. But I do have like now 2 friends that play Knights. This guy plays a lot of Titans. Like there are a lot of Titans, it seems. And so having Titan Killer, when you roll against a Titanic or Towering unit keyword, you can reroll a whole hit roll. And so again, just kind of almost guaranteeing damage in the sense of, well, hits. So like if I was going on that 2 weapon, the Pulse Blast Cannon, and I'm pushing it down to 2+, and I can re-roll. And then I also have like re-rolls of 1s from like Shadow Sun or something like that. I can almost guarantee that, well, they'll hit. And when they're strength 24, they will probably wound, kind of thing. That, like, being strength 24 kind of sucks, because again, that's toughness 12. I know 26 is like, that's not really a difference, because nothing's really toughness 13 kind of thing. Like there are some things, but it's mostly like, I don't know, big thing. It would be much better if it was 28 in my mind, because then it could handle toughness 14 at 2s also. But this thing at strength 24 is still pretty good. You're going to be hitting anything on toughness 12 on 2s ups. 12 and below. And so, and then when if you're spotting for with the other dude giving lethal hits, okay, like with the Cadre Fireblade. So that kind of like rounds out everything. I do have other command strategies, but that's basically the gist of it. And being able to buy time, and then have the lethal hit stuff start hitting, where I'm getting everything that's spotted for. Everything normally gets lethal hits, but then when they're spotted, they get lethal hits too. Sustained hits. That is my bad. I was up there reading that. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's not lethal hits. That's Monkar, but that's sustained hits 1, and that's sustained hits 2 if they're spotted for, and really turn up the heat. It's kind of the same pacing I used to do in MMA fighting, when I had like the first 2 rounds, I'd kind of like fill you out, like, and then like round 1, I'd fill you out. Round 2, I'd start like pushing up. Oh, you want to fight at this tempo? I'm going to push up the tempo because my conditioning is better, and I can actually fight faster and harder and not get tired. So let's get you tired. And then round 3, I go Super Saiyan. I go all out, and I don't try to knock you out because I didn't want to hurt people. I just want to TKO. So I just, like that last match, that last round, I would be going all out and just score like tons of points. And that's kind of what I do with Kalyan, is like, I kind of figure out what you do. And then late game, it literally is me like mopping you up, because I figured you out so well. If things go well, I figured you out so well that I'm just able to shut down you, and then, kind of just walk to victory at the end. And so anyway, I'm sorry this was so long.
thank you for anyone that made it to the end. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, please comment any things that I could have done better, or you would have wanted to see or have questions about, or if this is good content in the sense if you want more of this, stuff like that. I would really like to go this direction with Warhammer. So if this is good, if you guys think I'm any good, like kind of thing, yeah, please let me know, because I'm very much like, I don't think I'm that good of a player, but maybe through YouTube, you guys can all help me become better. Like with saying, hey, you're going the wrong direction, or hey, da-da-da-da-da-da, and we can kind of open up discourse about it, because me and my friend want to start a podcast, all that stuff, all kind of talking about this stuff and other things, but yeah, I kind of need feedback, I feel like, to be better. That's why I've started going out to game shops. That's why I've started going out and trying to play other people and get better. So anyway, thank you guys. Bye.